Welcome back, everyone, to the Crimson Tide Sports Network. This is Roger Hoover. Great to be with you once again, and it's time to head down the hall to what we call the other booth. It's presented by Alabama One Credit Union, and they are the official mortgage lender of the Crimson Tide and a proud supporter of Alabama athletics. And today we talk about Alabama's next opponent in the 2020 football season as we visit with David Kellum, and he is the voice of the Ole Miss Rebels, has been the voice for many years in Oxford. And David, already it's been quite a start for Ole Miss, 1-1 in the season. How's everything going for you all?
Man, Roger, doing great. It's just excitement that we're playing. I think that's step one. Usually our number one focus is wins, and it still pretty much is, but it was just really nice to be able to get the college football season started. And then we had a very tough assignment, obviously, out of the gate with the Florida Gators, and they're really, really good. Went on the road and had an exciting victory over Kentucky. But just to be playing, a month ago, we were all worried if it was even going to happen. So it's kind of nice that we got to the date and everybody got started.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Florida Gators in the first game. A lot of eyes were on that game because it really was the first SEC game that kicked off. Played in that game and then played Kentucky last week. How did you see the Rebels grow from week 1 to week 2?
Well, I think offensively there was a lot of consistency there. Matt Corral had a very good game 1 at quarterback, and there was not concern necessarily, but wonder on which of the two quarterbacks might emerge with John Rice Plumlee or Matt Corral, and Matt won the job, and he's played exceptionally well the first 2 weeks, and we tried to mix John Rice into the offense to some degree as well. But he's been incredible, on top 2 quarterbacks nationally as far as ratings go, and he's just done a wonderful job running the new offense. And so that learning curve that you had to be concerned about with the first year staff and all, he's done a wonderful job with that. We need to run the ball a little bit better on the offensive side. From week 1 to week 2, we didn't see marked improvement there, but with Jerry and Ely, we feel good about that being a positive down the road. This offensive line starting to come together a little bit too. Defensively, it's been kind of strange. We opened the year with Trask, and he was outstanding. Pitts is an incredible receiver, and so we give up 400 yards passing. Well, last week, Kentucky loves to run the ball. We give up 400 yards rushing. So there's a lot of work on that defensive side of the ball, but we've had some tackling issues. And the thing that was kind of refreshing about last week, when they needed to make a play or two, we were able to do so. We squeaked out of there with a 1-point win. But defensively, we still got a lot of stuff to do, that's for sure.
Yeah, your call was really perfect. Ole Miss knocks off Kentucky dramatically again. You guys have been playing some barn burners through the years, and Saturday was no different.
Well, it was kind of a helpless feeling, Roger. You get to the overtime, and you were grateful to be able to have a shot in overtime, but Kentucky got the ball first, and they just went boom, 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 and scored on running plays. And they're like, golly, we just can't stop them from running the ball. And so your mindset is, well, maybe when we get to the third period and everybody has to go for 2, we can make a play and then stop their 2-point conversion somehow, and then they missed the point after, and that really did open the door, obvious for Ole Miss. The Rebels got in there, got the TD, and then Luke hit our point after. So it was a tight game. It was DK Metcalf last time we were there in 2017 that made a remarkable catch at the end. So we've been kind of fortunate with Kentucky.
Well, for the Ole Miss Rebels this season, you mentioned it's the first year of a coaching staff. Former Alabama offensive coordinator Lane Kiffin comes in, and with that always comes a lot of buzz. We saw that when he was at Tennessee and even in his time at Alabama, and now that he's the head coach of the Rebels. Just what's it been like getting to know Coach Kiffin, and what kind of energy has he brought to this program?
A lot of excitement. He did a nice job when Florida Atlantic came in here and really got the fan base stirred up. And then, when we had COVID hit, you lose the spring opportunity to work with your team. And then we all were going through, how bad is this? What are we dealing with? And so it kind of put sports on a back burner to some degree. But Lane's been wonderful to work with, and he's just a tremendous offensive mind, as you guys know, at Alabama, and has surrounded himself with some incredible coaches. So we feel really good about where everything's in place. But I know that he feels like he may be, behind the 8 ball a little bit on trying to get this team where it needs to be. And, of course, recruiting has been sort of a different animal, too, for these coaches. So for a first-year staff and any of the first-year staffs across the country, it's been some added hurdles to have to deal with. It seems like that they have done a good job of maneuvering through it. I think offensively you can see what we've done in the first 2 weeks, that he's really got that going the way that he would like to see it go. And then there's always room for improvement for every single week. But Lane's been great. The call on the touchdown in overtime was a typical, Kiffin type play where you get reverse motion and leaked Elijah Moore into the end zone, and they were fooled on the play. I mean, he's just a great offensive mind. We're glad to have him, that's for sure.
And I'm sure he's glad to have some real skill players to work with on the offensive side of the ball. We've talked a little bit about Matt Corral, but how's he using Jerry Neely, Elijah Moore in a big way to make some big yardage gains for Ole Miss?
Well, Elijah Moore, I'll start with him. Even a year ago, he's got to be at the top of everybody's scouting report, but he keeps getting open. We keep targeting, and he's been incredible. He's a great receiver that is almost a running back after he catches the ball, and has done exceptionally well. And you wonder, when are we going to wake up and somebody's going to have stopped Elijah Moore, but that just hasn't happened. He's just exceptional talent, and Lane's done a really good job, and Coach Levy, of getting him the ball in space and letting him do his thing. Ely has gotten off to a little bit of a slow start, I guess, but we got to get the offensive line rolling a little bit stronger in the run game. But he's an exceptional talent too. Can break away in the open field as well. We've got Stu Connor in the backfield. That's a really good running back too. And you've also got a couple of other receivers in the mix. So we really do feel good about what's going on the offensive side. And with the transfer of Kenny Yeboah tied in from Temple, it's also given us an additional weapon, and we're using that weapon pretty effectively as well. So there's a lot of things to have to deal with on the Ole Miss offense.
Lots to deal with on offense, and also in the defense continues to work, as you mentioned earlier. And then how about special teams, and how about Mack Brown, the SEC Special Teams Player of the Week? What can you tell us about him so far?
Yeah, he's a wonderful guy, too. He's a good guy, been very effective, constantly working on getting better. He got that special teams award on Twitter. He said not satisfied, still want to continue to work. That's the type of person that he is. But he's been a very valuable weapon. Has improved his punting and is always looking to try to improve. And he was very valuable to us in the Kentucky game, that's for sure.
Well, Ole Miss is certainly one of the places in the SEC that has genuine, unique traditions. One of those is the Grove. We are unfortunately seeing no tailgating across SEC campuses so far this year, but for that first game against Florida at Vaught Hemingway Stadium, just kind of what was the feel? How different was game day in Oxford that first Saturday, and how different will it be this upcoming Saturday?
Well, very weird. I looked at the Alabama game too, broke it down on video actually 2 nights ago, and you look at Brian Candy and you go, wait a minute. I mean, it's spooky almost. It really is. And in our case, the Grove is, a big piece of what we do on game day. And for it not to be there is just strange. It's strange, and it's, unfortunate, but we all get it. We understand that we're trying to play and minimize opportunities for COVID to spread and all. The actual atmosphere in the game, and I don't know if you felt this way, Roger, over there, but sometimes you have a low attended game against a non-conference opponent, and the fans just kind of show up and they know you're going to win, and so there's not much atmosphere in that case. I noticed against Florida that our 14,000, whatever we ended up with, were trying to be like they were 60,000. So that was kind of cool to see them really working hard to try to gin up some atmosphere in the game. And so it's a little bit different from that standpoint, but it's still all of our home venues across the SEC. You're just not getting that exceptional home field advantage that you would normally get.
We also saw a bit of a change in the end zones, that powder blue. We saw powder blue jerseys to go along with the helmets that debuted years ago against Alabama, and of course were the look for Ole Miss earlier in their time. But how much powder blue are we going to see coming up on Saturday?
Well, I haven't seen a uniform released yet for this upcoming weekend, but our fans have adopted adding that powder blue for sure. We still really like our red and navy blue because it's been a beautiful color scheme for years. But the powder blue looked pretty good. Powder blue and powder blue. We're all white with a powder blue helmet at Kentucky as well. So I'm not exactly sure which direction we'll go, but we're getting more and more. I think the baseball team kind of sparked that when Coach Bianco let them use the all powder blue that kind of looks like St. Louis Cardinals blue, or the Philadelphia blue that they used. And everybody said, oh, wow, that looks good. We got to do that in some other sports. And we're starting to see it in a bunch of sports right now. But yeah, we'll see if that color scheme is there if they go back to the navy blue in the end zones.
That certainly will be good. I think it's a good look for Ole Miss. Just as we start to wrap things up, obviously last year Alabama was able to score 59 points against Ole Miss. Devontae Smith had a big game for the Crimson Tide. Just what's the real focus for Ole Miss to try and slow down Alabama's offense and all the weapons that the Crimson Tide bring into this matchup?
Hope that they trip over each other, brother. I mean, that's basically it. You know, I'm so impressed with Waddle, Smith, and Jones done a great job, and it's a really solid offense. And I don't know if you can keep up with that offense. We're doing some really good things offensively, so you feel, first of all, to have a chance, you got to score some points and score a bunch. But we actually did a decent job as far as putting points on the board in Tuscaloosa last year, but just had no way to stop that Alabama offense. And I know it's changed a little bit, but it looks extremely efficient. I've watched both games and every snap, and you're just wowed by the talent that's on the field and the skill level of the receivers, and it's going to be difficult. But the key for Ole Miss, and has been the first 2 weeks that we have not been able to accomplish, is get some pressure on the quarterback. We've got to get our defensive front where they make a step in the right direction to get pressure. If you don't get pressure, then you're going to be pretty much in trouble. And Alabama's offensive line's been sensational. So it's a major, major challenge, to say the least, for any team that's going to play that offense this year.
Well, David, thank you for joining us. We look forward to having our radio crew in Oxford coming up this Saturday for the ball game. Just thank you for all your insights, and best of luck to you and the Rebels down the stretch.
Sure thing, Roger. Looking forward to seeing you this weekend.
All right, our thanks to David Kellum, and thank you for watching The Other Booth, brought to you by Alabama One. So long, everyone.